Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the We Are Not Lonely podcast. It's a pleasure to be here. So, we're hitting episode 50. That's a monumental occasion. I don't know how, but we finally reached this thing. Okay? There's a long way to go. There's so much to do. That's for sure. But the point is, I'm still enjoying doing this particular thing, so I'm going to keep going as much as I can. If you can't really tell, I do have a bit of a cold, and my voice is kind of messed up. Not my voice, but my throat and all that. But my point is, I'm still gonna keep doing this. Okay, so let's going. Let's going. Good. Let's go. As part of the 50th episode, I've decided to do a bit of a review on a movie that I haven't watched. Because I wanted to go on a bit of a rant, right? But I watched one of my favorite YouTubers and I came to a bit of a conclusion about the whole situation. It's a little more nuanced now, to be fair. Now, I'm going to start off with this one thing that I just want to mention, okay? Bollywood, that is the Hindi movie industry, has been particularly anti-Hindu for a very long time. And it's only recently that movies that are pro-Hindu are coming out. And I've sort of gone through this entire reason as to why this whole cultural war is happening. One of the reasons is probably because Bollywood is funded by Dawood Ibrahim and a bunch of other people. A bunch of underworld dons and all of that stuff. But my point is not that. I don't know if I've spoken about how Amir Khan has done some derogatory comments on Hinduism in his movie. Through his acting and through his writing and all of that. But we'll go into that in another thing. Let's just touch upon the fact that the Hindi movie industry is extremely Hinduphobic. Okay? So it's shall we say, a breath of fresh air to get movies that are kind of pro-Hindu. For example, movies like Adipurush, Kantara, Tanhaji, and Prithviraj, etc., which celebrate Hinduism, which celebrate Hindu warriors who fought against the barbaric Islamic hordes that were trying to conquer Hindustan back in the day. That's actual truth. And no matter how people like to dress it up, certain historians will say, oh, this wasn't religiously motivated, but it was. Let's just cross that. And that's the point that I've been trying to make for a long time. I'll be getting into that a lot more in detail once I start reading the second book of J.S.I. Deepak's, which is India, Bharat and Pakistan, where he delves into this whole idea of the two-nation theory and how it came to be, and so on and so forth. But for today, our topic is going to be about Adipurush. We're going to limit ourselves to that, so let's get going. Okay, so let's look at the backdrop that this particular movie's coming, this particular movie is being released in, okay? There's been this national reawakening of Hindu consciousness. Now, abroad, a lot of people are going to be saying that this is a fundamentalist and Hindu nationalist government and this is what is stimulating this growth and all that. But I just want to say that Hinduism, aka Sanatan Dharma, is the only one that accepts other religions. It's the only one that's truly secular, all right? In the term that the word secular was used, Hinduism is the only one that is truly secular, because in all other Abrahamic religions, you have a clear put down of every other religion that is not even of their particular sect. For example, Roman Catholics went around causing so many issues to Protestants. Why isn't that talked about? There are certain families, like a friend of mine, I'm not going to mention his name. His mom is particularly clear that he should ideally marry someone who's of the same sect, Syrian Christian. Roman Catholics have gone around oppressing other sects of other religion, It's a very complicated issue, man. But basically, Roman Catholics have gone around abusing Christians who are not Roman Catholic, and this has been a thing for a very long time. But the point I'm trying to make here is that even the Abrahamic religions, though they are technically sort of like sequels to each other, Judaism came first, and they believe that the whole prophet thing ended with Moses, and then came along Christianity, where they believe that Yeshua, Joshua, Jesus is the Son of God. And then came along Islam, that believed that Jesus was not the Son of God. He was just a prophet, just like everybody else who came before him, and that Muhammad was the last prophet. This is basically an understanding of all of Abrahamic religions. All right, this is the base understanding of the thing, because Islam believes that Muhammad was the last prophet, that there would be no other prophets to come after him. And that's the main belief that sets them apart from other things. Along with the fact that they believe that Jesus was not the Son of God, and that he is, like the others, a prophet. Okay, so having put that into the air, let's move on, alright? Christianity, Islam, and Judaism, well, not Judaism so much, but Abrahamic religions, primarily Christianity and Islam, have been at loggerheads for a very long time. Even within these two particular religions, there are so many subsects that are constantly at each other's throats. For example, in in Pakistan, there's this particular issue. I mean, there's an age-old difference between Sunnis and Shias. There's a particular sect of Islam that is being sort of discriminated against in Pakistan. Barelvi? I'm not particularly sure. I'm going to have to get back into this. Maybe I'll cover this in a future podcast where I go into Pakistan and Islam in detail. The main reason I haven't done it yet is because I want my facts in order when I touch this topic, because it's such a hornet's nest. It's a very dangerous topic. People have lost their lives over. People have lost their lives over a lot less. And like, I don't know if you've noticed, but there is a very Congress party in Karnataka, and already they're facing a lot of accusations of being a mullah Marxist party by the opposition. Anyway, my point is that we're going to move on to Ramayana now. This is sort of a background to the whole situation in India. Religion doesn't just stay in religious matters. There's no division between church and state, so to speak. Religion kind of permeates every aspect of life. And the reason I brought this up is to say that, Bollywood has been primarily Hinduphobic in its approach to everything. A lot of villains have been portrayed. A lot of Hindu elements have been portrayed as villains. Like everything that is Hindu, like the villain will usually be seen doing certain religious rituals to kill the the hero. And pretty much every ghost movie, there'll be some Swamiji who comes there and he'll fail at controlling the demon, and then some Islamic exorcist comes and he's partially successful, but then he gives up his life and he makes this heroic attempt, and he uses verses from the Quran to subdue the beast, and he's suddenly overpowered, and then the hero or the heroine has to put the demon down. And there's this nonsense that's always been. There's this trend that I've noticed in a bunch of horror movies, so-called horror movies in India itself. And this is prevalent throughout the movie industry. But my point is essentially that trend is starting to change. I think Kantara sort of sounded the change for this. It was a very small budget movie, but anyone who has watched the movie will tell you that the energy of the last 20 minutes were entirely different. And that might have been the reason that this whole change in consciousness happened. It's been this thing that's been going on for a very long time. We can't really pinpoint the reason that this happened. Maybe I can go back and study the astrological reasons for it. Maybe. That's an interesting point. But essentially, what I'm trying to say is that there's been this reawakening of Indic consciousness of Sanatan Dharma in today's youth. There's a host of reasons. We can't really pinpoint it to any particular reason, but we can see that there's a trend, a newfound interest in our Shastra. So, with that, obviously, people want to cash in on that. So, I suppose that's why the makers of this particular movie came out with this particular attempt, Adipurush. Now, the first movie, the first trailer was a joke. They supposedly spent about 650 crores for the entire movie. And I'm just gonna play the first trailer. And wait, yeah. Where's this? Yeah, official trailer. Let's do this. Okay, so it's T-Series who PewDiePie lost to. This is supposed to be Shri Ram. Prabhas is playing Shri Ram.
धस जाए ये धरती या चटक जाए आकाश.
Look at the graphics, it looks dog shit. It's horrible.
न्याय के हाथों होकर रहेगा न्याय का सर्वनाश.
This is supposed to be Ravan. This is straight up a copy of Game of Thrones. For that scene where Jon Snow goes to the north. And look at his stupid beard, he's not even supposed to have a beard. And what is this monstrosity? This is supposed to be his Pushpaka Vimana. This is supposed to be his Pushpaka Vimana. It's a machine, dude. It's not this. You do realize that after the war, Rama and Ram, Sita and Lakshman actually fly on this Pushpaka Vimana back to Ayodhya. So, this is so stupid. The only reason they've done this is because of the popularity of Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon. And they can't even get that right. Oh, this is that infamous scene that was so trolled by everybody. Look at Ravan, dude. He looks... In ancient India, very few people had beards, dude. Like, the portrayals of... I mean, okay, I don't know about whether or not they had beards, but the cultural tradition is that they don't have beards. Only people who leave society and go to the forest, sadhus and so on and so forth, have things like a beard because they don't have access to all of that. That's how they've been portrayed for a very long time, okay? So, this character design is dog shit. God. Look at that. The director of Tanhaji. Now, that's supposed to be a really good movie. Om Roth has done that really well. I suppose he took a really big risk with this movie and he messed it up massively because of certain reasons. We'll get into that later. Look at that. God. This is so disgusting. This is Planet of the Apes, dude. This is Planet of the Apes, bro. What is that nonsense? Look at this. This is clearly from Planet of the Apes.
आ रहा हूं अधर्म का विध्वंस करने.
It looks like it's a movie scene from Temple Run. Yeah, okay, this scene. What is this? This looks like Mordor, dude. And that looks like, in the background, it looks like, what's that thing from Marvel? Valhalla? No, not Valhalla. The City of the Asgardians, dude. What was the City of the Asgardians? The capital of the city of the... Yeah, it looks like that, dude. It looks like Thor's hometown, whatever that was. What was Thor's hometown? God. I'm seriously looking it up because I don't remember the name. Asgard. It looks like a rip-off of Asgard. Look at that. This is dog shit. What kind of... Oh, God. Oh, man. Yeah, look at that CGI, bro. It looks like, oh, look at Ravan's depiction. Look at how they've depicted Ravan. He looks like Muhammad Khilji, bro. Looks like Khilji. Nonsense. The only good thing was this musical thing. This Jai Shri Ram, Jai Shri Ram, Raja Ram, Jai Shri Ram, Jai Shri Ram, Jai Shri Ram, Raja Ram, Jai Shri Ram. That's the only good thing that has come out of the entire thing. This is so bad. God. Okay, so that was the first trailer that came out, and the comments were hilarious. The ratio of likes to dislikes on YouTube were insane. The first video was trolled. It was trolled to such an extent that the movie makers decided to delay its release. They decided to work on the visual effects a little more. That's how bad it was. Okay? Now, after a really long time, they worked on it and they came out with another trailer which looked a lot better. Wait. And I won't lie. Okay. So they came out with a new trailer after a really long time, after working on this for a really long time. And I won't lie, it looks pretty good. Okay. The second version actually had me kind of hyped because they started out the entire thing with this really beautiful rendition of Mangala Bhava. That song. That Ram Siya Ram Siya Ram Siya Ram. That song. I'm just gonna play it. It actually looks good.
ये कहानी है मेरे प्रभु श्री राम की, उनकी जो मानव से भगवान बन गए, जिनका जीवन था मर्यादा का उत्सव और नाम था राघव, जिनके धर्म ने तोड़ दिया अधर्म का अहंकार, गाथा उस रघुनंदन की, युग युगांतर से जीवित और जागृत ये कहानी।
They could have chosen a better actor.
भिक्षाम देहि.
See, okay, I'm gonna pause it for a second because this depiction of Saif Ali Khan as this Hindu sadhu, where Ravan takes on the disguise of a sadhu to ensure that Sita Ma comes out of the Lakshman Rekha, that was the only thing that was spot on so far. Maybe even Sita Ma's depiction as she is, you know, in the forest after they've left Ayodhya. This is a lot better.
आप अयोध्या के युवराज हैं। एक संकेत करेंगे तो सारी सेना आपके साथ लड़ेगी।
ये मर्यादा के विरुद्ध है।
तो क्या मर्यादा आपको भाभी माँ के प्राणों से भी अधिक प्रिय है?
जानकी में मेरे प्राण बसते हैं और मर्यादा मुझे अपने प्राणों से भी अधिक प्रिय है।
This is the meeting with Shabari. This is a nice thing.
हम जन्म से नहीं, कर्म से छोटे या बड़े होते हैं।
Okay, I have a problem with the way they've depicted Bajrangbali, Hanumanji. This is not a very nice depiction. Again, like, he's got this huge beard. They could have done this a lot better than the way they've done it, man. It just looks like they've put something, they told him, puff up your cheeks, bro, as if you've got air inside it or something. This is really bad, dude.
जो तुम कर सकते हो और कोई नहीं कर सकता.
Not gonna lie, when I first watched this, I kind of got shivers with that Jai Shri Ram thing. I've heard better.
राघव ने मुझे पाने के लिए शिव धनुष तोड़ा था. अब उन्हें रावण का घमंड तोड़ना होगा.
Celebrate the victory.
आज मेरे लिए मत लड़ना, उस दिन के लिए लड़ना जब इतिहास में तुम्हारा नाम पढ़कर सम्मान से सर झुक जाएंगे. लड़ोगे तो आगे बढ़ो और गाड़ दो अहंकार की छाती में विजय का भगवा ध्वज.
The dialogue could have been a lot better, man. It is really bad.
ब्रह्मांड में जो भी पाने लायक है तू पा चुका है, फिर भी तू राक्षसी है। लक्ष्मी को पाले, नारायण हो जाएगा।
See, this is the problem. Okay, again, I'm gonna pause it for a second. They're supposed to show Ravan as a Shiv Bhakt. When it came to Shiva, only the first time that Ravan met Lord Shiva, when he went to Kailash after his first victory with Kuber. Okay, let me just explain that story. The first time that Ravan actually met Lord Shiva, he had just kicked his half-brother Kubera out of Lanka. He had stolen all the riches, the kingdom that Kuber had left. Alright? And he had discovered the Pushpaka Vimana and he decided to fly all the way. He found a new toy and he decided to take it for a joyride. That's the entire scene. That's what happened. Okay? So, when that happened, he comes across Kailasha Mansarovar. He reaches the Kailasha Parvat. He reaches the mountain. And filled with pride after defeating Kuber, he tells Kailash to bow down. And Kailash is like, bro, not happening. Lord Shiva resides on my head. You don't know what you're doing. I can't do that. Okay. And Ravan gets so... He's like a very proudy fellow, no? So he's like, oh, you want? And then I'll move you out of my way. So he goes down. He actually tries to lift. And he actually, it's mentioned in the epics that he actually does manage to budge it a little bit. And then Shiva is like, bro, listen, it's not cool. And he puts his foot down. Literally, he puts his foot down. And he presses down his little toe finger, the smallest one. And he presses down. And Ravan is crushed. Okay, and this is actually how he gets his name Ravana. Because he's trapped under and he roars and he roars and he roars. And he cries out in pain. And after a really long time, he realizes that he messed up. He realizes the greatness of Lord Shiva. And what happens after that is that he actually writes this song for Lord Shiva called the Shiva Tandava Stotram. There's a story that when he finds out, like when he realizes his mistake, he creates a new instrument. He uses his entire body. He uses his veins as the strings. He uses his head as the bowl, the bowl for the, he creates like a Rudravina, I believe it's called, out of his entire body. He creates an entire instrument out of his body. So that's when he creates this particular instrument called, I don't know if it's called the Ravana Hata or the Rudravina. He creates a particular instrument. He composes the song on the spot. He was actually a great scholar. He was a tremendously talented musician, a powerful voice. He was a great singer. And he was one of the greatest devotees of Shiva. Okay, he wasn't proud when it came to things about Shiva. Of course, he did try to do things that I'm not going to cover in this particular issue. But the point was that Ravana was a very powerful devotee of Lord Shiva. So much so that when Lord Ram actually killed Ravana, he had to do penance for a bunch of things. One of which was killing a Brahmin. The other was killing a great devotee of Lord Shiva. And for that he had to do penance. And even Lord Ram respected Ravan. That's the point when he finally defeated Ravan and Ravan was there dying. He still hadn't died. He was dying, like he was in the process for a very long time because he was kind of powerful. He had gotten a bunch of boons from Brahma and Shiva and so on and so forth. He got to the point where he was there dying slowly. And what happened was Sri Ram sends Lakshman to ask him for information. And Ravan sends Lakshmana back. I don't know if he insults him, but he sends him back. And Ram asks him, where did you stand? And he says, I stood by his head. And Lord Ram chastises Lakshman, and he goes back and he treats him with great respect, and he asks him about details, and he gets a lot of information from Ravana. Even Prabhu Sri Ram was respectful to his enemy. This, I don't think they are going to cover all of these nuances, but the point I'm trying to make is that Ravan was a Shiva Bhakt, and that's like a huge part of his personality. When he came to Shiva, he wasn't proud. But yeah, look at this. Look at this travesty. That's like, I have an issue with that last scene where he was being very proud. But this is really cool. Okay. So, the second trailer was actually pretty cool. A lot of people enjoyed it. There was a lot of hype regarding this, and along with that, they did a bunch of events to hype up the movie even further. Okay, but the issue didn't come from that. The issue came with the fact that they weren't showing the truth. The whole problem was the fact that they lied about their intentions. They lied. Okay, because initially, they were like, oh, this movie is going to be a faithful rendition. It's going to be very faithful. It's just going to... Yeah. So, I'm just going to show you, like, this is a clip from one of my favorite YouTubers who talks about topics like this. His name is Sham Sharma. Go check out his video, please. He's made an entire video about Adipurush. His is a lot more nuanced. I watched it a couple of times and I was kind of inspired by him to make this video. Go.
कुछ लोग इसलिए नाराज हो रहे हैं कि उनको लगता है कि जो फिल्म मेकर्स हैं वो भी थोड़ा सा एरोगेंस दिखा रहे हैं।
मॉडर्नाइज करने का कोई प्रयास किया है क्या? हमने कोई अलग टेक लिया है? तो इसका सीधा जवाब ये है देवांग जी, बिल्कुल नहीं। जो रामायण लोगों ने सुनी है, पढ़ी है, देखी है, एग्जैक्टली वही रामायण है, कुछ भी अलग नहीं है।
So his initial thing was, oh, there's no change. It's exactly the same. We haven't changed a single thing in the movie. It's exactly the same that everybody has grown up with. It's the same Ramayana that you all have grown up with. Okay? And immediately after that, when people get angry with the whole writing, with the dialogues, this is what he says.
फिल्म का नाम क्या है? जैसा कि आपने अभी कहा श्वेता जी, फिल्म का नाम है आदिपुरुष। जब हम आदिपुरुष बना रहे हैं तो पहली बात तो दो तीन चीजें मैं एकदम स्पष्ट कर दूं, मैंने पहले भी कही है और अभी स्पष्ट कर देता हूं। हमने रामायण नहीं बनाई है, हम रामायण से प्रेरित हैं।
इनफैक्ट फिल्म के जो डायलॉग राइटर हैं और लिरिसिस्ट हैं वो अपने आप को लगता है तुलसीदास जी से कंपेयर कर रहे हैं। थोड़ा सा ज्यादा नहीं हो गया?
Okay, so that initially, I mean, you can 2 interviews back to back. Sham Sharma has done a brilliant job of exposing this. All right. Initially, he says this is a Ramayana that you'll grow up with, and then after the entire criticism, he double pedals, he back pedals, and he's like, bro, look at the name. It's not Ramayana, it's Adipurush. We're not Ramayana. We have been inspired by Ramayana. Kya bakwas hai bhai? Okay, so the entire issue that happened was actually because of this particular dialogue where Indrajit, Meghanad, the son of Ravan, actually sets fire to the tail of Hanumanji, and Hanumanji goes on like this spree. He goes around destroying Lanka with his tail, pretending that he's hurt and all that, but he's not actually.
चलीना।
Yeah, this is such a nonsensical
अभी तो
dialogue.
और चलेगी। बेचारा, जिसकी चलती है वही जानता है।
कपड़ा तेरे बाप का, तेल तेरे बाप का, आग भी तेरे बाप की और चलेगी भी तेरे बाप।
Okay, so this is one of the major issues. Okay, Hanumanji is a figure who is worshipped on a daily basis. He's a figure who is held with a great deal of reverence all across India. And it's not cool for them to put such lines in his mouth. That's an issue. The writers could have been a lot better. This is not cool, bro. Okay? That's my major issue with this movie. Issue number one. And the thing is, they weren't even original, man. They stole this from another person. They stole this from this Amok Leela Prabhu.
अच्छा, घी किसका? रावण का. कपड़ा किसका? रावण का. आग किसकी? रावण की. जली किसकी? रावण की.
So, they stole that dialogue shamelessly. At least Prabhu is like speaking with a decent amount of respect. These people have no respect. Shameless, man. Like this was such a disappointment. Like, it could have been a lot better. I don't know why I'm disappointed. I should have known, like, they wouldn't be able to do something good. But I'm still disappointed. The character designs, as a designer, as an artist, I'm like disappointed with the way they've portrayed. There's this one particular Instagram user who's shared a really cool version of and he's used Midjourney to create this idea of what Hanumanji and all should have looked like. It's really cool. They didn't put in enough time, effort to research the entire epic. They didn't put enough time, energy to create proper character designs, clothes, set designs, nothing. They just decided to slap on some really horrible VFX, copy things from a bunch of movies. I think I've seen things from Planet of the Apes. You saw Asgard, you saw things from House of the Dragon, Game of Thrones. You saw things from Planet of the Apes. I've already mentioned Planet of the Apes. A lot of things from Game of Thrones. The design of, would you look at Saif Ali Khan as, have you seen his haircut? Look at that nonsense. What is that? What are those lines, dude? This is the quality of the movie. You should be criticized for the quality of the movie. Attempt and all, decent attempt. I don't even know, man. This is a really bad movie. You could have done a lot better. Invest more on graphics. My criticism of the movie, invest more on character design. Invest more on research. Invest more on writing. I think you could have made a lot better. You could have done this movie a lot better if you had approached it with a decent amount of respect. Okay? And you mismanaged audience expectations so badly. To go from saying this is the same Ramayana that y'all grew up with, we have not modernized it at all, to completely flipping the script and saying, oh, you know what, we're actually inspired. You know what, Omrod, you've done some decent movies. I'm not going to call you anti-Hindu, but you've made a bunch of really stupid claims yourself, okay? Ramayana it's really simple. And this is someone, Rajiv Raju, who says even an illiterate villager sitting under a tree understands Ramayana. Only druggy and debaucher of Bollywood can never understand it. Even the language, okay, so back when I was beginning to study Sanskritam, my Acharya in Sanskritam actually told me that, compared to the Mahabharata, the Ramayana language is very simple. You can start reading it, you will understand a bulk of it compared to the Mahabharata. It's not that difficult as a text. Look at the character designs, look at Meghnad. Literally, this is again from the same thing from Sham Sharma's video. Meghnad is like Aquaman. Dude, they could have done this movie a lot better, man. It's just disappointing. I don't know why I'm disappointed. I guess I did have expectations after all. I guess for every Kantara there will be one. For every Kantara there will be an Adipurush. The funny thing is, Kantara did so much better on such a small budget. And when people saw the budget, they were like, okay, this movie is gonna do something good. And then they didn't. I think that's the issue. Yeah. That truly was the issue. And the interesting part is that this one movie has united a bunch of people. Arvind Kejriwal, from saying that he didn't want Ram Mandir to be built and he would prefer a university or a hospital to be built there, to going and saying that, to criticizing this idea of building temples and instead building the Steel Authority of India. You know, he made this comparison saying, oh, if Nehru had built a Ram temple instead of building Steel Authority of India, where would we have been? He had made a bunch of comparisons. Even his party is issuing statements like Adipurush, where he's calling out Adipurush for using cheap language. So you know what? For the first time in life, the entire opposition is united with the BJP. It's United India. That's an interesting thing, but yeah, I think I'll stop with that. Thank you for joining me. I found this very entertaining. This was hilarious. Thank you for joining me today. I will see you again soon. Punarmalam, Jai Shri Ram.